Folks, I'm Ted Thomas. We're going to compare tax lien certificates and tax deeds. This is a great comparison.
If you're weighing your options of whether you should be into tax liens or tax deeds, you're in the right place. This is Ted Thomas. He is the tax lien certificate and tax deed authority, and he's going to provide you with plenty of information, how to approach each, and maybe give you an idea of where you should get started. Ted, let's start with what are tax liens and how do they work as a good investment opportunity?
So I'll start out with tax lien certificates. In about half of the states, if a property owner doesn't pay the taxes, what will happen is the local government will send them notices, a number of notices saying, look, you haven't paid your taxes. If they don't pay the taxes, that county will issue a tax lien certificate, nothing more than a piece of paper like I'm holding now. That means the county now has a claim against that property. Now, the tax deed, what they're going to do is the same situation. If the people don't pay in those states, what they do is they send notices of default, except now they're not quite so benevolent. What they do is they lien and then they levy and then they confiscate the property and resell it. So there's a dramatic difference between these two types of tax lien certificate and tax deed auctions.
Let me ask you, Ted, which one of them requires like a maybe smaller investment to get started and maybe provides more immediate returns? Is it the tax lien or the tax deed?
Well, a tax lien certificate, when you raise your hand and you buy this tax lien certificate, they're going to hand that to you across the counter and they're going to take your money. All right, now you have to wait while that tax lien certificate it comes into redemption. And that simply means that property owner now could have 2 years or even 3 years to pay you. That's a long period of time. So you invest your money, you paid your taxes. However, you might have to wait 2 to 3 years before you could recover your money. So that's quite a period of time. However, you can make small investments, 2,000, 5,000. I've seen them even for $500. Whereas tax deeds, you could buy today. You now own that property, so you immediately own it. So what if you bought the property for $2,000 or $5,000? You could immediately sell it, or you could rent it, or you could live in it. Now you own it. So it's probably a little faster to do a tax deed. However, most tax deeds don't sell for $5,000.
When you're looking at the whole thing of doing your research for whatever you're doing, Ted, which one of these approaches takes less time or less commitment of a time? Is it working with tax liens or tax deeds?
They're both time consuming. A tax lien certificate doesn't require a lot when you get started. You have to look at the property, you have to pay for the certificate, but now you have to wait, and you have to wait a long time, 2 or 3 years. Whereas a tax deed, this is really work intensive from the time you get the deed on. So now what are you going to do? Are you going to fix it up? Are you just going to leave it and sell it? So with a tax deed, you'll be working continuously from the time you start until your time you get it sold.
Ted, looking at some of your other videos, I know you said it's really important to do research on the property you're going to buy. Between these two invest options, the liens or the tax deeds, which is easiest to conduct?
Which is easiest? I'm going to go with the tax lien certificates because little old ladies and little old men that got gray hair, they don't want to do a lot of work. What they could do is they could buy a tax lien today. They could take the tax lien home with them, put it on the shelf or put it in a safe deposit box, and then they just sit there and wait. Tax lien certificates are considered passive investment. You don't do any work, supposedly. So when the certificate pays off, which 97% of them will, when it pays off, they will probably nowadays, rather than even have you send the tax lien certificate in, like we did in the old days, they will probably just send you a notice on your cell phone that said, we just deposited the interest payment in your checking account. It could be that fast and that easy. Whereas a tax deed, you got a lot of work to do.
Are there any drawbacks or pitfalls to be aware of when investing in either a tax lien or a tax deed?
Let's face it, anytime you're investing, you've got risk. So if you want to eliminate risk, you can do that. So that's what we teach. That's why we have classes. All right. So the tax lien certificate, to eliminate the risk, you want to, number one, know what you're buying. Don't just grab a newspaper. Let me do that and show you right now. What a lot of people do is they go online or they get a newspaper out. I'll just get a newspaper. This one's from Jacksonville, Florida, and it's just filled. I'm just going to turn around and show you. It's filled with tax lien certificates. There's no pictures in this newspaper. There's 30,000 are right here. So there's plenty for everybody. All right. Now, some people just go point to one and they buy it. What did you buy? So you want to go look at it. You want to make sure that it has value. A lot of tax lien certificates don't have any value. It's worthless property. So you don't want to buy it. But you have to go look at it to do that. But that ends your work. So that's not a lot of work. But it gets even more work if you compare that with tax deeds. Now, delinquent tax properties are used, they're abused, and sometimes even their title isn't clear. So what you have to do all that work. And then you can go ahead and sell it to someone else after you've had the title cleared and whatever. So that could take some time. You also might want to consider, a lot of people do if they watch television, they hear about fixer-upper properties and after repaired value. They call it the ARV, the after repaired value. They're thinking of all those things. So you got a lot of work to do when you're buying a tax default property. In both cases, there's risk. The way you eliminate risk is you get yourself educated. That's where you should start.
Ted, you've been doing it for 30 years, tax liens and tax deeds. You know a lot about it. You're very skillful. You're very comfortable with it. What about somebody who isn't sure if they should start with tax liens or tax deeds? What advice would you give them as a next step?
I'm narrow casting here, but I like to tell people, why don't you learn? Why don't you buy someone's course and learn that? Why don't you come and spend one day with us and go through a all-day workshop learning about delinquent property and learn about tax lien certificates? Why don't you go attend a few auctions and see if this is what you like? What I've done is condense the learning process into a one day where people can spend one whole day with us. And then by spending that 11 in the morning till 5 in the afternoon, by spending that time, they have now figured out, is this a business they even want to be into? So they might decide at the end of that class they don't want to do it. There'll be a lot of people that will want to do it. However, if they don't want to do it, they haven't spent a lot of money and spent $47. Or go to a lot of auctions. You'll know right away because you'll see someone buy a property for 10 to 20 cents on the dollar. And as soon as you see that happen, that the business has captured you. You don't have to worry. From then on, you're captured. You're going to want to do that.
Hey, Ted, I know you've got a great way for folks to find out about what auctions are happening where. Before we get to that, I want to remind people, if you like this video, please just give it a thumbs up. You might want to even subscribe to the channel. And if you have a question for Ted, leave in the comments below and you will get an answer. But Ted, get back to how do people find out the opportunities out there and where the auctions are? I know you have something that really helped them.
What most people like and they find quite intriguing, and it's exciting, especially the first time you go. But right below me, as I'm talking, they're putting up a calendar, and I call that the magic map and a calendar. And basically, what happens is you can see white circles along that map. If you took your cursor and moved it over a white circle, then that's where there's an auction going to take place. Now, the map updates every day, so it's going to be different circles every day. However, what will happen is it'll show you what auction's coming up. So what we've just done is we talked about tax liens and we talked about tax deeds. You could then go to that county, if it was a tax lien auction, and see a list of auction properties. Because when the county announces the auction, they put it on their website and they put it in the newspaper like I showed you. Same situation on tax default property. So it's a learning process. So right below me, you can see that.
Head right down there in the description, hit the link, and take advantage of that free gift from Ted. And thank you for watching.